Hello there, and it is me again, your friendly bearded potter. Today it is time to add sections to these cups. So this is actually a continuation of the video where I made the press mold body part pieces. Things that look like this. And now I'm going to add them into these cups to make them part of the objectification functional parts series here of work. I've made a few of these. I have approximately, I don't know, 15 more I'm going to make today, but I figured I'd show you all how I do this, how I take those parts and add them into this section here. I have to go get some more because I'm running out. I've already worked on a few. So, collected a few of them out of my other dry box or damp box, and I'm going to set them in here so I can get to them. And we'll begin working on these. First thing I do is, after they've been thrown and trimmed, is I take them and I let them stiffen up a little bit so I can work with them, manipulate them. Now I've got them in secured my Giffen grip here, and I'm going to use my noodle tool on my handy dandy pot. Find my section I want to cut, and then just hold my hand steady. You've all probably cut the lip off of a wonky cup before, so that's easy to do, but my key is I like to go slow, and then boom, I've now separated the cup. I'm going to place this on my little table here underneath a shirt so it doesn't dry out too much, and begin finding pieces and parts that I would like to add into this. And now it's, I've got this piece here. I'm going to shape it to fit into here. Like to give it enough space. Give me usually about 1/4 of an inch inset there. Once I have that, take my long brush, dip it into my ever depleting container of vinegar. Again, I like to use vinegar over slip or water. It just being a super wetting agent, and it has a tendency to really work well for what I do. Now once I've set the piece into place, I'm going to take and I'm going to utilize my fingers, and I'm going to start pressing it together from the inside and the outside, while trying not to deform the general cylindrical shape of my cup. Now this allows me to get in there and really work it into place and smooth it out so that the inside still has a nice smooth interior section. I'll be doing this quite a bit because I want to get that nice and clean and in place and looking good. I'll even shape the part a little bit using my hand, and I'll come back with a handy dandy trusty rubber rib. You can see it's quite lots of little dried bits on there. It's been used quite a bit here today. And come in and smooth it so it's nice and has the appearance of just being a single transition on the inside. One part on, probably about 3 or 4 more parts to go before it's done. You know, it's one of those things you look and you see what piece will look good. Sometimes I change the shape of the piece to fit. You know, instead of having the rope pieces go horizontally, I might have them go vertically. It just depends on the particular press mold piece and how I want it to look. Now, I will say that what this is going to mean is that each one of these pieces that I make, each one of these cups, is 100% custom. No two are going to be alike. Even if I'm using all the same pulls from the same body cast, because I never pull them all the same way, and I never hold them up and you make sure that I've got the same pieces over and over again and in the exact same spot, because it would be really difficult to do that. I mean, I guess I could, but with this particular hand building method, it's kind of hard to do that. So each cup is going to be very similar, but it's going to be original. It's going to be its own little sculptural cup to set upon its own little pedestal. It doesn't have to sit on a pedestal. You can sit in the cabinet and be used for coffee or tea or beer. I think if you're using these for coffee, you must be a teacher, because we all know teachers need lots of coffee to survive. But there we go. And it's just placing it and pressing it in and building up the height. These are probably going to be, I guess, height-wise and size, are going to be more of, I guess you would call them, I don't know, beer steins. I don't know. I like to smooth out that seam on the inside. Don't want it to have any chance of separation. Now, these are still going to receive handles. Handles are going to actually be pulled. Well, they're going to be my extruded handle. I have a particular size and style that I've created die that I like, and I use it a lot, and it works well for my work. Gives it a nice machine finish, I guess you could say, to go with the wheel thrown and functional or organic pieces here. So this is a good way of combining organic with inorganic or geometric shapes. Now, see here, I've got this long piece here, and it's got this big chunky section of rope here, and it's got a small section of rope here. And I still have this space here that I want to fill, and I want to kind of bring it up to at least here. So we're going to probably use the not so chunky section, part of the chunky section, to get what I want. Let's see if that'll work. Right about there. So we can go ahead and cut this out. Go down. Now I always place mine inside to outside, so there's always this overlapping that occurs into out. It works the best for my pieces, for these pieces in general. Sometimes you have to cut it at an angle so you don't have too much overlap going on there, as that can be an issue too sometimes. all about shaping, finding that right spot for it to go. And a little bit of super wetting agent again. Now you'll notice I don't do slipping, and I don't do scoring. And I know scoring is it's taught. Everybody must do. If you want it to be attached, you must slip and score. And yes, it is true. If you slip and score, you will, quote unquote, get attachments. But depending on the type of clay you use, depending on your material, depending on what stage you're working at, you don't always have to slip and score. Now, I currently use a very, very forgiving clay body. It is a cone 10 clay body because I fired a cone 10 in reduction. I like to also do reduction cool downs to trap carbon in the glaze matrix there. And, but as I was saying, because I do use a very forgiving clay, I can do things sometimes with this stuff that you couldn't do with porcelain. Could you do this with porcelain clay? Probably. Have I done it with porcelain clay? No. Have I not used slip with porcelain clay? No, all the time. Has porcelain made me cry? Yes. So I stick with my little handy dandy stoneware here. This particular stoneware, like I say, this is a cone 10 stoneware. It's made by Alligator Clay, or Southern Pottery. If you happen to be in Baton Rouge, they're the manufacturers of it and main suppliers of this particular clay body. I get mine from my local clay store, which is Coastal Ceramics, located in beautiful Ocean Springs. They order it for me and I get to use it. But as I was saying, it's a very big forgiving clay. The clay body itself has grog and kyanite in it, so it does really well for that lovely thing called thermal shock. Kyanite is a fantastic little material in doing stuff like that. It is a brown clay. Now, I do a lot of underglaze work over my pieces to age and wear the surface a little bit and make them Technicolor vomit, if you could say. Technicolor nightmares. So, because this is a brown clay body, it sometimes gives you some nice speckle at cone 10 when it's fired. It will mute the underglaze colors, as you know. Underglaze is great, but if your underlying color is deep, it's going to be darker, and this particular clay body will have a tendency to mute it. So I use, instead of spending hundreds of dollars on white underglaze to go underneath on each one of these pieces, I actually use a porcelain slip. It's a cone 6 porcelain. It's a cone 6 porcelain. It's actually made by Standard Clay. I used to do a lot of cone 6 porcelain work, and so I had a bucket of slip that I turned into slip with all the intents of, oh yes, I'm going to reconstitute it. I'm gonna use it again. And then I moved into cone 10 back to cone 10 firings, and Well, you can't really do cone 6 at cone 10, but that particular slip does wonders for the surface. Yeah, it is a goes right over the top, gives me a nice white base, which will allow these particular pieces now to have a white substrate, so I can apply the underglazes and have these real poppy underglazes, and gives me the option also of not underglazing the rope section, leaving it white and coming back with a black underglaze, so it makes it pop. But here we go. Now once I've gotten it all kind of where I want it, I'm gonna turn my wheel on here slowly, take a look, make sure I don't have any big old crappy holes in there. And I'm gonna take my needle tool again, find my section, and then just take it right on out to even it up. Now, the key here, trying to keep it even, is keep the wheel moving slowly. Oh, didn't go all the way through. Happens. Get a thicker section there. Boom, slice through. There we go. So now I have another flat section to build on, and this is where the top comes back. So now if I just set the top on there, see I got all kinds of like gaps and pieces, but I want the top, just like the bottom, I'd like the top to sit down a little bit on the piece. So in order to do that, I will pull in the part of my slab attached section and set it up here and look and see how much more I need to push in to get that part to fit in there. I like this because it makes it look like the piece, well, because the piece then gets this cutaway section. And things are looking pretty good. I could probably go down a little bit more. Now, once I get it on there, I spin it and I sit back, I take a look, and I say, okay, it's got to come up a little bit on one side. I look in my handy dandy trusty mirror. Yes, I actually do have a mirror that I use on occasion. And right now it's currently covered in mud. I gotta clean it again, but that happens. So let me just set it like so. Now instead of taking this whole thing back off and trying to put it back on, I'm just going to dip in there and go right around the inside, and I'll go right around the outside underneath here with my little wetting agent, so soak in both sides. And at the same time while I'm doing this, I can give a little bit of pressure. Do it one more time on the inside, one more time on the outside. Give it a little bit of pressure to start setting it in place. Now that it's there, I can take and again press from the inside to the outside. This is where you got to be a little bit more careful on trying not to warp it, but the warping sometimes is not at all unlike with these particular pieces, but it's again, it's press, 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 press. Lots of pressing, lots of forcing clay to go together, all together. And this is the process in how to make one of these pieces. It is not a fast process. I mean, I'm sure if I really was trying to produce a lot of this and produce a lot of work, I definitely would not go this route. But I'm trying to produce work that speaks, has commentary, that gets people to talk, and that, just in general is well made and not like everything else that's out there. Because I'm not like everything else that's out there, as you can see. Here we go. Just holding, smoothing, and pressing. Trying to get a good smooth inside all the way around. As you can see, this is going to be a big cup. One of those early morning teacher coffee cups. Oh, who am I kidding? It's a midday teacher coffee cup. There's probably a lot of teachers going through caffeine withdrawals, because they're not having to drink as much. And they're probably also, much like me, worried about their students, worried about their futures. In case you didn't know, I am a high school art teacher, and like every other teacher, I've had to figure out how to move my work, class online. I am not a technology person. I am when I learned to teach, with a stick on a beach. I got my start as a scuba diving instructor. And I learned how to use every medium out there. But there's just no substitution for me, anyways, in my teaching and the way I teach, for actually being in the classroom with my kids. But to get my teaching addiction in, I'm making videos of what I do in the studio. Now, I'll come back actually, and I'll do some more cleanup and smoothing on the inside once everything's reached a point of acclimation. It's all about the same. Now I do come back in here, and I actually use this. This is it's a color shaper, or a red rubber nipple. Red rubber nipple, but this one's not red. And these are great for pressing little bits of clay together. And here, as you can see, I like to use it to kind of roll that edge into an outer edge together a little bit, just giving one little less aspect of where the clay might want to say goodbye, y'all, and catch you later on the flip side. I'm out, and separate. So I do that. It also gives me the opportunity to kind of refine the connection line a little bit, clean it up. And I'll do this actually twice on the piece. This is the first time just kind of pushing the clay in. I know, isn't this so much fun? Hopefully it's not too boring for you. But this is how I go through the whole piece. It is time consuming, as you can see. I think we're somewhere around 30 minutes for one cup. And the cup's not even done yet. So, if you wonder why I charge what I charge for my pieces, it's the fact that you're gonna get a completely original. I mean, no two pieces are gonna be the same, even if they use the same body parts. They're not gonna be the same. There's just no way to do it. If I start slip casting them, well, that's a totally different story. And even if I do start slip casting, I'll probably just do it in the series. And then get rid of that series and start on the next. But don't have to, don't want to right now. I may have to in the future. Depends on if I have to add more to my income because, well, we know. So this is what I'll be doing. Let's see, 30 minutes apiece. And I believe I have another 11 to do. I think I had 14 cups. Let me see, 20, yeah, nope, 16 cups. So there's my next 8 hours of work, basically. I am probably not going to get them all done in one sitting. That is not going to happen, but that's okay. Damp boxes like and a old broken refrigerator turned into a giant damp box allow me to keep going for quite a long while. But when you get everything to a point where it can stop and let it slowly dry, this is what I get. So as you can see all the texture in there, right? But then you still get the nice wheel thrown foot, nice round part. Oh, thought there was like a hole in there. Turns out it's just dirt on my camera. But there you go. This will now get turned like that and set inside a damp box so that everything acclimates and it'll be good to go. So that's number 3 that I've completed today. And I've got 11 more to go. I might have 13 more to go. I can't remember how many cups I made. So anyways, go make something out of clay. And if you like, hit the like button. If you want to see more of this stuff, hit the subscribe button. Share with your friends. Tell your neighbors. Only tell your neighbors from 6 feet away. Same with your friends. Have a good day.